We're having slightly different times for the ISD in the school, so what we're doing is similar 2-minute opening, 2-minute opening, 1.5 minute for questions, and then a 1.5 minute close. So 2, 1.5, 1.5. I'll try to go in order. You guys will help me, all right? And with that, let's make it easy. Go ahead with your 2-minute opening.
Thank you very much. I'm Bill Beavers, like you said correctly. We appreciate that. I'm running for place 4. I'm the incumbent here in Prosper ISD, and I absolutely love our district. My family, like many families in the Prosper area, and even some of Salina, but are part of Prosper ISD as well, moved here for the schools, moved here in 2012, a year before my oldest started into kindergarten, wanted her here to go her full way in Prosper ISD. I've got 5 kids, so the youngest one is 3, and if you listen closely, you might be able to hear her right now down in Prosper because she is loud. I've got 5 kids. I have skin in the game in the district for the next 15 years. 2036 is when my youngest one will graduate. So I have a vested interest in our district for a long time to come. That time in Prosper, have just loved it. Schools are great. When I ran for the board the first time, I've run twice now, this is my first re-election, I was running because I wanted to be a part of a great team. I think Prosper ISD, we are doing things absolutely fabulously, and I wanted to be a part of that team. So I'm Bill Beavers and running for place 4.
Good afternoon. My name is Pat Cochrane. I'm running for place 4 in Prosper ISD. I am a senior supply chain manager at a company here in Dallas, and I have skin in the game as well, as I have a 6-year-old to 4-year-old, so I am committed to the district for quite a while as well. And my background is I'm a former military officer. I spent 9 years in active duty, 2.5 years in the National Guard. Led in the surge in Iraq with the 82nd Airborne. I was a planner on the Osama bin Laden raid with the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment, and I also led soldiers during Hurricane Harvey. So service has been a way of life for me. And I think the best indicator of a community is how well the children are doing. That's the best litmus we have because they're our most valuable and precious resource. And I was always taught that when you see an opportunity, you become part of the solution. And there have been things in the district that have happened over this past year that I've been outspoken about. And I want to be part of the solution to make things as good as possible for the parents and the community that's involved. Pat Cochrane, place 4. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Bettye from Okae. I relocated to Dallas area in 2008 temporarily for my job with FDIC. But when I decided to relocate here permanently, when I visit Prosper, I love the small town community and I wanted to be a part of it. I'm from a small town in Edinburgh, Mississippi. So small town, farming, being outside is something I always did, 4-H and things like that. My background with FDIC, I'm in organizational planning and we do liquidation of failed banks. So my first bank that I came to work on was Okae. That was the first bank that I closed. So I have a background in data analysis, working with numbers, using statistical data to make informed and educated decisions. And I think that will be a good input with Prosper ISD. Prosper ISD is an exemplary school district, and that's the reason I chose this district for my children. I'm also a member of my sorority, Delta Sigma Theta, which is a sorority that works with socioeconomic groups of kids. And I think that with that background and the data analysis and all the organizational leadership skills that I have, I think that I'll be a good person to be a part of the board and use my talent to increase the board and making sure that the kids in this school district are valued and the parents' voices are heard, and that I understand the board is based on policy and procedures, but we also need to listen to our parents and the community when we make decisions that impact our kids. So with you, I've been listening to a lot of things on the board and being vocal with different things and procedures that being in the school district. And like me, I want to be part of the problem. I mean, part of the solution, not part of the problem. Sorry.
name is Chianna Rodgers, and I'm running for place 4. As Bill said, we all have kids, skin in the game. All of us have young children. So I have 3 kids, one in elementary, one in middle school, and one in high school. A little bit about me. I'm originally from Illinois, from a small village in the suburbs. I went to the same elementary and middle school and high school, and that was very important for me with the same people to be able to do that. So when I picked Salina where I live, I like the small town feel. And then I love the schools of Prosper ISD, like everybody else who moved here for that. So I feel like I have the best of both worlds, that I can live in Salina and have a Prosper ISD. I have board experience. I not only served on cancer care, such as Fort Worth. No, I don't know anyone in Fort Worth, but I believe that cancer touches everybody's life, and I want to be a part of the way they help other people. I've also previously served on the Salina Library Board because I like to give back and do things that are important to me. And if you're going to go and be on this, you should have board experience. We don't need somebody to come in and learn on the job. Prosper is growing very rapidly, so you want to make sure that you can jump in and start on day 1. The other thing is, I've been a housewife before, and that gives you a very different perspective. I've been a working mom, I'm a working mother now, I'm a financial advisor, so I have the fiscal responsibility. That's what I do every day with my clients, to make sure that they achieve their goals. So I'm used to looking at budgets and other things like that. And I think as a parent, somebody who sits on the board, you need to be able to see from different perspectives, because our student body is all diverse as well, and you need to be able to do that. Thank you.
We have 5 questions and 5 lightning round questions. We'll try to cycle through. So, Mr. Cochrane, we'll start with you. And our first question, softball to begin with, but not easy to do, but easy to ask. How will you attract the best teachers to the school district?
So that's a great question, because as somebody who served in a lot of high-performing organizations, Prosper ISD is already one of them, and they've already been recognized as a top employer in the DFW area. And there's always ways to get better at attracting talent, whether that's through some merit-based incentives or optimizing the values of the district and selling people on the values, because you can't bring in top-tier talent if there's not a cultural and organizational alignment between the values and the person. So I think it goes to the level of recruiting that you do, creating talent opportunities within the existing pool within North Texas, maybe not going too outside to bring in talent, because there's a lot of talent in our backyard, and that's one of the things that I see as an opportunity for Prosper is we've got a lot of great teachers in the DFW area that we can bring in, and it's making sure that they're the best fit for the organization, and that all our programs reflect that as well. So if there's strengths for Prosper ISD, how do we make them better, and then attract the best talent to supplement those programs.
And we'll go down this way. Yep.
Me?
Yes, ma'am.
So what I would do is I will partnership with the different universities and community colleges and work with a lot of the educational students to do some type of internship program to use that talent to bring into the community. They are already part of the community, and a lot of these students want to be teachers within this community, so I think that we should bridge on to have some type of additional internship program to bring those talents in. And also, we have people that have worked in different fields, that have backgrounds in business and other things like that want to get into teaching. We should try to implement some type of alternative teaching program for those careers employees that want to go back into the teaching world. For me, I had a hard time coming into teaching. I substituted for a whole year in Prosper ISD in the business part of the school to teach kids about banking regulations and compliance. People like me that wants to come to the school, be part of the school district and want to be able to teach, we need to have alternative programs for them and give them additional incentives to come back. You have second-year career people that want to go into teaching after working in the corporate world for a while. That is some value resources that we can bring into our school district.
I think this is a great question because I've already been doing some of this work. As an involved parent, I worked with the head of the HR, Bernadette, and PISD to help them bring in some diverse candidates already. So I'll continue to work with that. I help give her connections to different colleges and other places to bring people. I do know that the district already currently has a program where children who graduate from our district are able to come back into PISD, and I think that's a great program, so we'd love to continue to do that and elaborate on that. But a lot of that would be going out and talking to some of the other community colleges and different places that we don't currently, it looks like we only recruit primarily in Texas, but we have some border states that I know people would love to come in because it's a great district. So that's pretty much it.
And then the mic down here, if we bring it, since we started with Mr. Cochrane.
Yeah, great question, first of all. How do we get more great teachers in Prosper ISD? And we're doing this right now. Pretty simple thing is you take care of the current teachers. Our teachers in Prosper ISD, they know that they are loved. We care for them very deeply. I think that they're absolutely amazing in Prosper. That is the best recruiting tool that we have for other teachers because teachers talk. They're telling their friends about Prosper ISD. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to continue to take care of our teachers. And when those come in, the new teachers, because we are growing at 22 to 2,500 students a year, the growth is crazy. Those new teachers are going to come in. We're going to love them. I'm on the Prosper Education Foundation as well. They take care of new teachers that come in. We really want them to feel the love when they come into Prosper ISD.
Awesome, thank you. So, Ms. Okae, did I pronounce that correctly?
Yes.
Okay, good. So this next question comes to you, and then just as a quick reminder, I know sometimes when the moderator asks a question, the tendency is to look at me. They are much more attractive than me, and you're really talking to them, so go ahead and look that way instead of down towards me. All of this directed just to everyone. And this next question is, what is the biggest issue facing the school district, and how do you intend to address it? What's the biggest issue facing the school district? How do you intend to address it? And we'll go down.
I think one of the biggest issues facing the school district is socioeconomic issues within the school, bullying, and we need to have a zero tolerance with that. And I feel that we need to have some additional resources and programs to help those kids that are having those type of issues within the school. Being a parent of a 10th grade student and a parent of a kindergarten and a parent of 4th grade, I've had to speak with my kids about bullying, people picking on them and things like that. I just feel like that we need to implement additional funds into that. The mental health awareness around here, we need to increase it. We have the Hope Squad, and that program is good, but I think it needs to be expanded to all the kids in the school district so they can understand cultural differences. And I think that will help cure all the additional bullying that we have within the school district. So we need to invest more resources in that.
Thank you.
I think one of the most pressing issues is race. As a parent of little brown kids, I do know that it hasn't always been easy. And I think some people in the district don't always take it seriously. You get pushed off to the side, which is one of the reasons I'm running. Because I want my voice to be heard and I want my children to know that you should stand up for something that matters and it's okay to look different and be different. Bullying is an issue, but I feel like for me, that's a more important issue. I know there are a lot of people who don't feel like their voices are heard. They're in my inbox asking me questions and I have talked to the superintendent about it. I've tried to do, I feel like we should do parent workshops that involve the teachers and the students and the faculty. And I think a lot of times if people just get together and talk and then we can learn about some of the differences and we can come to some solutions. I don't think that hiring an outside force to come in and tell me how to run my house. I think if we talk to each other, we might be able to handle some of those. So that's why I think is the most important issue. And I think everybody typically wants to get along. There are a few bad apples. But I think if that's handled, we can continue to grow.
Thank you. And it's going down here to Mr. Beavers.
Growth. Like I said, we've got a lot of kids coming to the area. We've got to look at growth, and it's how do we keep Prosper ISD? There's a reason why all these people are coming to Prosper ISD. It is a fabulous district. I think we would all agree on that. But we have to keep up with growth. And actually, I'm not just talking facilities there, but that is a big part of the concern. We want to be just behind the curve when it comes to the facilities, because we don't want schools sitting there empty for a year's time while we're trying to staff them. But then it's also the teachers, getting more good teachers in, and we'll continue to stay in a row. It's a growth.
Tangential to that, I would say financial accountability. As a $170 million district that approved a $1.3 billion bond in 2019, all the decisions that are being made in the district should be tied to an educational outcome. And taxpayers expect a return on investment from programs. And so the thing that I've seen as an opportunity within the current board and the operations is everything should almost have a business outcome and an ROI, because that's how we need to think about it. Every program, every decision needs to be tied to an educational outcome. And when we go and we approve programs that can't be described or can't be independently verified as to what this is contributing to or what the value add is on this, to me that's a problem. And so every program needs to be justified in terms of proper educational outcomes.
Thank you very much. Now for a more uncomfortable question. This has been really national news, certainly impacted state and even Collin County and Tarrant County, and every school district has to face how they're going to handle it. So, what should the policy be? And by the way, I believe it's Ms. Rodgers. What should the policy be regarding self-identified transgender students, use of bathrooms, shower facilities, and sports participation, and why? What should the policy be regarding self-identified transgender students' use of bathrooms, shower facilities, and sports participation, and why? Thank you.
That is uncomfortable. All right, so I have a daughter who's in sports, and I feel like if everybody should be able to participate, and I feel like transgenders should have their own sports. I don't think they should go in women's sports or young girls sports. I do think it gives them an unfair advantage. I think it opens the door for people who, because we can't take steroids or other things, and our daughters can't do that. It affects their scholarships and everything else. And should anybody be discriminated against? Absolutely not. Should they be able to voice and be who they are? Yes, but maybe they should have their own. You know, we have a boys basketball team, a girls basketball team, and maybe we should have a transgender basketball team. As far as the bathrooms, I think they should be able to have their own as well. I just don't know that, you know, everything needs to be integrated.
Thank you. And down here, I try to keep you guys in order, so it helps me keep track. Thank you.
Perfect. Yeah, that's a tough question. It is, but I guess I will say, first and foremost, I think that we get into a mental health question in response to something when it comes to the transgender. No, I'm not supportive of boys in a girl's bathroom or vice versa. That just doesn't make sense. So no, I am not supportive of something like that. And I believe that Dr. Okae mentioned the Hope Squad a moment ago. That does focus on some mental health issues, and that is a great thing that we have within our district, and that type of program that we have would hopefully be able to help in that situation.
Not too uncomfortable for me, because men and women are biologically different, and it is a scientific fact that they are different. Serving in the military, I saw it all the time. Men and women are different. They have different strengths, they have different qualities. They need to be separate in the way in which they utilize facilities, the way in which they compete, because if not, there are some unintended consequences to mingling transgender students with biologically appropriate students. To the point we've already talked about, mental health is an avenue that needs to be addressed, because gender dysphoria is a mental health condition for transgender students. And that needs to be addressed and looked at root cause, as opposed to confusing transgender students more, or providing them services that helps them to be their authentic selves and their biological selves. To Chianna's point, discrimination should not happen on that basis at all. Absolutely, it's a non-starter. And so how do we help students who have that crisis in their lives, but also be sensitive to the fact that men and women, boys and girls, are biologically different?
Okay, my answer to that would be no, because we know genetically they're different. I think it's an unfair advantage for boys to participate in girls' sports and vice versa. So that would be nothing that I would support, but I also know that we need to assist them with some mental health issue processes and give them opportunity to compete. But I just think that we need to separate it. Kids are competing in sports for academic scholarship, and that has a great impact on those kids that biologically are boys or biological girls get an opportunity to compete within their sex group and maybe get opportunities to get to attend schools on scholarship. So that's a no for me as well.
Thank you. Our next question, we're back down here at the end of the table, and it's a parenthetical as the mic moves. That shows that even if there's difficult questions, there's a way to respectfully and intelligently answer those. Well done, candidates. With that, question 5. How can, and you addressed this Okae earlier, so this is appropriate. How can the ISD provide protection to students who face the threat of bullying on campus? It's a national problem, certainly a local one. How can the ISD provide protection to students who face the threat of bullying on campuses?
Communication. Teachers, administration at the level, we care very deeply about our students. Prosper ISD is a large family, so we care about them. We talk to them if something's wrong and something's going on. Again, I would go back to the Hope Squad and what it's doing. While it does have a hard focus on suicide prevention, there is also that bullying aspect that, hey, these are people that when students come to Prosper ISD, they try to be friendly. I think that the world would be a much better place if we were all a little more friendly with each other. So that's it. We've got Hope Squad at every campus, but then also teachers and administration are definitely looking out for that as well.
When it comes to bullying, there's already laws on the books that just need to be followed. There shouldn't be apathy, or we shouldn't be over-indexing on empathy with students who are violating what are bullying laws. And I think it goes back to there needs to be proper enforcement in actions and consequences for students who are going through and bullying other students. I've talked with one parent individual where her son was injured in a bullying incident, and it wasn't caught on tape because the cameras weren't functioning within the school. To me, that's a problem if we're not going through as a school system to audit the procedures that are in place and the functions that are in place that are enabling those situations to occur. So it gets back to foundational discipline of making sure the correct criteria and systems are in place to prevent that incident from happening and enforcing the law.
I totally agree. I experienced bullying with my kids, and I think that we have policy procedures in place that we need to enforce them no matter who child it is. We also need to provide additional counseling resources for the teacher, because with teachers, they have all these different things that they have to do in the day of teaching children, and that's added on. But they're not specialized in handling all of these different things and dealing with bullying and how they impact different children. So additional training for teachers to be able to deal with it, and also the host file. We need to implement that program through kindergarten all through the school district, because bullying affects all kids. And just like my kids say, both of my children had opportunity to be picked by their peers to be part of bullying. My kids always say, you have to be kind. People are different, and those things, kids listen to them. And so when we impact that into our children, then it will be better. But I think that the school district needs to enforce the policy and make sure that bullying is not allowed. I have parents calling me, friends calling me, situations that happen and this person getting a pass. It shouldn't be that. If the policy say this is the consequences to your action, then it should happen. We should not change the policy based on what particular child is part of the bullying. And that's what I've been seeing as a parent within Prosper ISD, and that's one of the reasons why I want to be a part of the board, because I say we have policies and procedures, we need to implement them and follow them directly.
I think there are already a lot of policy and procedures in the book. If you read the handbook, people who know me, I read a lot, so I'm that person who reads all the handbooks. So there are policies and procedures in the handbooks. However, I don't think that it's implemented equitably across every school and every administration of principals. So I think there should be some sort of oversight committee that can go in and say, hey, if the parent doesn't feel like the principal is doing this administration, to their point that this child was treated differently in this bullying incident than the other one.
Be trained and armed at school.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. No.
And we'll start down there at this time. Thank you so much. Will you oppose any budget that is more than 2.5% annual increase? That's the state trigger for ISDs. Would you oppose any budget that is an increase of more than 2.5% annual increase, which is the state trigger for ISDs?
Yes. I pass.
Yes.
I pass on that.
Awesome. See, you're already getting some differences, opportunities to talk to these guys. That's the whole purpose. Would you advocate, and this is a second depth to the last question, would you advocate for and support an effective tax rate each budget cycle? No new taxes rate, effective tax rate is the same thing. Would you advocate for and support an effective tax rate each budget cycle?
I've got to pass on that again.
Yes.
Pass.
Pass.
All right, yeah, thank you. That's the reason for the questions. And then finally, do you believe that school bonds should be broken up into grouped categories similar to the way city bonds were divided up? We haven't experienced bonds, that's the way a lot of cities do, McKinney and others. Do you believe that school bonds should be broken up and grouped into categories similar to the way city bonds are divided up?
No. No.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Awesome. Hold on to that. So, very telling. Thank you so much. And then last question, should ISD elections allow, note who sponsored this event for this question. Should ISD elections allow for ballot declarations of party affiliation or independent status? Should ISD elections allow for ballot declarations of party affiliation or independent status? Meaning, should we declare candidacy based on party?
To pass again.
Nope.
No. No.
Oh, I want to have so many conversations with all of you. All right, and with that, we're going to go to closing statements. You have the mic. Let's go ahead and start off with you. It's 1.5 minutes. Thank you so much.
Okay. I'm asking for your vote. I think I check every box. A woman, and I bring a lot of different perspectives from being a stay-at-home mom and a working mom. I have a fiscal background. I've been on boards, and I am heavily involved in the school district, and I'm a servant at heart, and I think people should be on the board not to lead, but to be servants, because our children need our service.
I think that my background in working in banking and regulation and compliance and interpreting laws and making processes with those, my data analyst background, I think that with my leadership background and all the things that I've done and my ability to serve the community, understand different different groups, I just think that I have the skill sets and being a mom. You know, when you're a mom, you do whatever it takes to make sure that your children are being treated fair and they're getting the best education that they can get. And being a part of the board and being a part of the policies and see how things are implemented is something that I want to be a part of it. Groups working in leadership, and I think that I would be a great addition to the board and come with a different perspective. So I would like to have your vote as I'm running for Place 4 Prosper School Board. Thank you.
Once again, thank you for coming out tonight. This is an awesome audience, probably anything that I've ever had, because this is my first time running for a political office. I don't think it's enough for us to just say Prosper ISD is excellent. When we get to the point where we just say it's excellent without challenging norms, without providing the proper transparency and accountability to the elected members of the board, we're losing ground. And over the past year, I've seen parental rights, community involvement go to the back of what is just the perceived authority that the board has to make and the decisions they make and how they run a district. And so it's important for me to really hone in and say community involvement needs to be in the forefront, because we have an obligation as taxpayers or as board members to provide a service to the taxpayers. And if that feedback loop isn't there, if parents and community members don't have recourse against what's happening in the district, the system is broken. And so I want to see that those rights restored in a meaningful way, and the overreach that's happening in our school districts get back in line with how it should be. Thank you.
I'll start by saying Prosper ISD is an excellent school district. It's an excellent school district because of the people that we have within the district. I love the people that are coming here. I've said my vision for Prosper ISD, I want us to be the standard of public education locally, in the state, and nationally. And I think with everybody coming here, we absolutely are at Prosper. So we have to continue to hire very, very well. And as a board member, I know that one of my jobs is to, like our Collin College trustees were talking about, one of my jobs is the hiring and firing of a superintendent. And we hired a great superintendent this last year. And I also know that my job is not to over-govern in that area. We've hired an excellent education person to do a good job, and we're going to let her do that job. So again, I am Bill Beavers, and I am running for re-election in Place 4. I appreciate y'all.
Awesome. And with that, that concludes